Welcome back to What the Flag. It is now Super Bowl week, so everything is all a bit mad, but we're always finding time to reunite. And so many flag people out here. It's pretty awesome. Next week is going to be the Oakley Alliance. That's going to be pretty special. I mean, we're going to have the whole flag community, some of our superstars from around the globe. And I mean, I don't even know where to start here, really. Well, two things. We were really delayed, and I know this is maybe 2 weeks late, but we never gave our full shout out. Happy birthday to our Yaz, who is now 29 and 366 days old. So, yay!
I'm not taking on the 30 crown yet. It feels very ominous moving like away from your 20s and into your 30s. But hey, life begins at 30 or something like that. I don't know.
It does. It does. I mean, it's really, I feel like 30s are a pretty great decade. So just, enjoy. You a married woman, you out here playing sports, doing your thing.
Kind of, I guess. It also makes you kind of like evaluate everything. You're like, oh, did that creak before? Did my knees creak? Did my hips creak like that like a day ago? I don't know.
Just, just as someone who's had a decade of creaking, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. You hit 30, everything just goes downhill. It falls
Like you
off. Yeah,
just go
that's
to
it.
bed and like all of the like fluid from all of your joints just goes meh.
Yeah, and we're out. And we're out. Guys, 30 years done. See you later. Yeah, and it all goes downhill. Yeah,
Oh,
I had a friend, I had a very good friend who warned me about that. Same deal. When you hit 40, another lot goes. People just sign out. They're just like, yeah, we're done. See you later. That's it. That's our time. So welcome, welcome. I say welcome. I'm not even there anymore. I'm on the fourth floor.
yeah, I'm sorry.
You
I'm
guys,
I'm
you lot do
I've only
you. You
just
lot do.
got to the third floor, man. My elevator's moving a bit
You're still in
slow.
denial. Lord.
I
Well
might go
done.
back
Well done.
down. I might go back down.
And we also have coming up, I mean, there's a few different flag things going on. Like we said, next week is going to be the Oakley Alliance. We had Pro Bowl this past week. And then we also had the Team USA versus Team Mexico kind of rematch. And we've got Brazil camp to look forward to,
Mm.
Unrivaled at Disney. I mean, the upcoming flag events, seems like global domination. And as I think a little bit more about global domination with flag, there's been a lot of conversation now around the international coaching scene. And ultimately, every country right now is on the hunt for elite coaches. And we've seen some of that benefit. You talk about Team China, they had won the international division at IFAF, their world championships back in Tampa. But, I know Kenny, Turkey are looking for coaches, Switzerland, places like that. Talk a little bit more about because you're really right in on the battlefield when it
But
comes to that.
yeah, the battlefield. Interesting analogy for it, but absolutely. I think it's so interesting that so many nations are looking, and I think the interesting thing that keeps coming around, keeps popping up, is there's no real set measure at this point. But I kind of come around to it and like, has there ever been? No one really knows apart from a coach's experience and kind of what they've done or what they can say they've done, and how they present themselves and how they speak. I think it's very difficult to actually know, hey, like whether we go down a qualification standpoint or even if there was like a LinkedIn type deal for coaches. No, I don't know that anything like that really exists. And I think that's one of the main challenges. If he's gonna go, but I think that's one of the main challenges facing nations because people want to put their players, and I think it's great that so many nations are really actively searching for the people who can make a difference, really help not only just grow and develop, but do that in an accelerated fashion. Because we've talked about it tons of times. It's a bit of an arms race. Like spaces in the Olympics are genuinely open and available. Yes, it's only 16 teams at the World Championships that can go for the first three places. I think IFAF haven't quite confirmed that yet. But then there's three more spaces, and the jury's still out on how those become available. So there is still hope. If you take the leaps, absolute gigantic leaps that China women's team have made from being pretty non-existent to continental champions in a year, probably less than a year, it shows the benefit of having um, the right coaches, and it also shows the benefit of having the money for the right coaches, you know. But I think it's a proper enigma, dichotomy of like, how do we know what good coaches are? Where do we get them from? Where do we find them? And how do we bring them in?
And I think that's something that most countries are facing. You see the benefits of the funding. We've talked about that a lot. I mean, it's kind of fascinating. Yes, I'm going to turn it a little bit towards contact. The women's contact team has just had a total makeover, basically, and bringing in a former player as head coach in terms of Laura Moore. I mean, I know, Yaz, you're a little bit more connected to it. I know you're not necessarily playing right now, but
For
like,
now, for now.
but I'm curious to see what your perspective is as a player who's played in the US, in the UK, and the element of coaching.
Um, I think coaching is really difficult because I think Kenny's right, and he's like in the way there's not really any measurables to tell you when a coach is good. I mean, it's always great when your team is winning and you're getting trophies, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have a good coaching staff. I think there's huge benefits in having a former player of a team stepping up to the head coach role. Um, I also think that there is huge benefits of getting someone to come in and give their experience. I think it depends on the type of leadership that you're going for, and I think we've spoken about it before. Like, is it a leadership where you're encouraging collaboration, where you're encouraging constant development of yourself and all your other coaches, and that's like your expectation? Or is it sort of like a dictatorship, like I am the coach, this is what I want to do, and this is how we're going to do it? I mean, arguably you can have good coaches that have a mixture of both. I guess it's knowing when what style of coaching is appropriate. Um, I just think it's really, really difficult. We're in a really weird transition period, I think, in across the sport, whether that's contact or flag, where everyone is kind of looking for that perfect model of what coaching is and what that success is, especially because you have the heat of the Olympics and those teams that maybe are on the hunt or are just on the outside peeking in and now looking for, what does this team have that seems to give them a spark? What does this team have that seems to give them a spark? And trying to, Kenny's got his hand up. Go on, Kenny, go on, Kenny.
Sorry, but it's really interesting what you say, because so we've just had, maybe a month ago, we've just had Black Monday in the NFL, where like so many of the coaches get cut and stuff, and then it's immediate. I think the NFL is a bit OTT in how drastic they are with not only the cuts but also how quickly the new hires are made. But then you hear stuff, and again, I don't know how much of it is rumor mill, how much of it is accurate, but you hear stuff, for example, about the Browns, Cleveland Browns, doing like personality tests and setting new coaches' homework, and like I'm loosely quoting here, the fact that that's not normal procedure. But what is normal procedure? Because even in the NFL, which at the height of all the research and knowledge and expertise and so on and so forth, there are still bad coaching hires year in and year out. So if they're not able to get it right, how can kind of national governing bodies and teams be expected to do
The names Sean and Mike tend to be a factor that they look for.
that?
So usually, if you have
What do
one
you,
of
what do you
those
mean? What do you mean?
names,
Do I need to go and
you
change my
should
name
be all
somehow?
right.
Oh dear, that's an interesting one. I'd love to do the research on that and see how many flag coaches are called. Sure. Oh Mike, that would be
I'm
super
sure we can
interesting.
we can get the stats on that. So I guess the question is, how do you grow them, right? And I want to use Mexico as a great example because their women's team, they have offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator who's or offensive coordinator who is a female. The men's team has a female offensive coordinator, which is almost unheard of. All we like when it comes to men's flag, there's very few women who are coaching in that world. And this is not even about just women, right? This is just about elite coaches in general. Um,
Can I jump in and just take your question back a step? Do you think there's enough time to to coach them up, to grow them. Is there actually enough time?
The team or
Is
the
there a right environment?
Well, is it so? Phoebe's talking about like how the Mexican like coaching staff are
yeah.
coming up through, and that, which is great if they've been doing it, which they have. So they're already like kind of ahead of that curve, ahead of that wave. But is there enough to so say you know a team that's looking for new coaches now? Do they feel is there enough time to grow those coaches? And what are the benefits or pros and cons of doing that versus not doing that?
I,
Stumped.
I-
Yes, I won. I won.
no, I thought Yaz was going to
Oh,
talk.
sorry.
I thought you were going to talk. That's why I
I
started
know, but you looked
talking.
No,
away.
I
after
think it
you,
depends
please,
on
after you.
the person that you're recruiting.
But
Like,
from a national governing body point of view, yeah, yes, because you could find the right person. Cool, great. But
not even that. I think it depends on the person. I think it depends on how prepared that person is to take on that role. If you're growing someone and they're coming in, they have like no idea of anything and you're starting from scratch. It's very different to someone that comes in and maybe needs a little bit of like tidying up around the edges, like a little bush, needs a little bit needing around the edges, but has a
you would.
kind of idea of what they want to do and where they want to go, no?
We'll skip the bush analogy. But you wouldn't put someone that had no clue. You wouldn't make them head coach,
How
right?
do you
But
know?
Or
Ted
happened.
Lasso,
We've
believe.
literally
Oh,
seen that.
believe.
you said, first someone said Ted Lasso. That I don't think that
It
counts,
was
first
me.
of all.
Believe.
Ted Lasso.
Where have we seen it? Where have we seen it? No, 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 no. Pass, hard pass. For me, I'm just like, I,
I'm not saying it's right, by the way.
okay,
Guys,
okay.
all I'm saying is there's symbolism going on, right? And even I'm outside the joke. I'm looking, one's going, and the other's going,
We don't know. We don't know.
and no one knows. No one knows.
We listen, and we don't judge. We listen and we don't judge. Um, no, but I think it's like you shouldn't. Let's rephrase. You shouldn't be putting people in place who have no clue or who have no experience. But my point is, even if to decide on who to hire, it has to be someone who has enough experience to not only develop players, but develop the program, develop the coaches underneath them. The
And that's why you get teams like Mexico and USA, um, and maybe Panama a little bit, like countries who've been playing the sport for a very long time, or the kids that have started at a young age. Half the issues that we have now is that players don't want to stop playing because they're still playing at the elite level, right? So they're not committing to coaching. Whereas it's actually a lot more competitive in these other countries because so many people are playing. So you may be an elite player, but you're not going to make the team because there's 100 other elite players.
Mm.
And so therefore, you can either find a way to stay in the sport or maybe coaching is a great way to be involved.
But then I would extend your question and say, doesn't if you're going to recruit someone who maybe doesn't necessarily have a clue about sport, doesn't it depend on whether you want to run the sport as a club or a business? Because wouldn't that affect
But you can't. Can you
who
run
you
a
want to
national
bring on
governing body
board?
like a national program as a business?
Not when I say like a business, I mean like someone who has a bit more of a business mindset. Like, don't get me wrong, we all when we join as a head coach or a coach, whatever, our aim is to grow our players, grow the sport,
Mhm.
grow the talent, have it, supersede generations, have a great national program, fabulous. But if you get someone that's a bit more like, right, although that's great and I want to do that, I also want to put this money into it. I want to put this investment into it. I want to put almost like a head of governing body sort of vibe at a head coach level. Would that not work?
No,
Why?
because they don't know football. And this is so
Do
it's
you, but
basically it's the sense of having an administrator as head coach. It's not you are that person is not a coach, and
but
that's my
if you
it.
have someone who's good at like running a business and has the right people in the right positions, like they have a really strong OC,
I
they
don't
have a really
disagree.
strong
That
DC. Does that not work?
that individual is not a coach. So the head coaching title is just that. It's just a title given for the kind of position of overseer. Because as you said, that person, yes, we could say, oh, genie wish in a bottle, someone who's commercially minded, who can also coach, who can also call offense and defense. They don't really exist. There's maybe two I can think of on the planet currently that I know of. I don't know
What?
everyone. I don't know everyone. But outside of that, that person is an administrator, whether you call them director of football, head of development, whatever you want to call it, that person is there. But that person is not your person who is meeting with the players every day, talking them through challenges they face on the field, off the field, leading them through those challenges, and so on and so forth. And that's why I'm saying, like, coming full circle back to the start of it, do those people even exist? Right? Because flag is still we talk about it in its infancy. There's not enough, there's not enough of a structure, a career development structure around flag, around coaching of flag football. There's not really one around tackle because a lot of coaches in the NFL, there's no clearly defined, hey, you do X, Y, Z, you go to Harvard or Yale, you get your this degree, and then you go into this. It's not clearly defined for even coaches at the top of the sport in the NFL. So, it's kind of how do I don't think there's anything really to work backwards from, but then there has to be some sort of unifying. And Phoebe, maybe it's where what you're kind of building and growing, it comes into it, in terms of it's the
Yeah.
acronyms escape me
With
now.
with the Flag Coaching Association.
That's the one.
Uh
FCA, yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
FCA. No, I think that is probably what, like that's one of the facets we want to bring over. We want to build a community. We want to have almost a place to go for coaches to be able to, for universities, especially with the NCAA. Now it's that sport.
Mhm.
Shout out McKenna Cook for getting her first D1 offer, first athlete to get a D1 offer. She is the best. She's also the little girl that was in that Nike commercial years ago where they
Yes,
hold hands and walk into the field. Coolest commercial ever. She's such a babe. So I think there's that element of that should hopefully tick a lot of boxes for a lot of people. But otherwise, right now there is nowhere for flag coaches to go. And that's why we're trying to change what that looks like in the landscape.
Kenny, you're a head coach, right?
Oh, no, I'm an OC, but yes, I have head coaching experience. So please,
Okay. So
yes.
when you were a head
Mhm.
coach and you had your head coach experience, what were your main focuses and what did you draw from, or how did you train to become a better head coach?
Right. So, and I think that's a great question. So, first and foremost, the thing I lent on most heavily is my educator background. So, I'm also a qualified teacher, right?
This
And so
yes.
I've never said that before.
Fun fact about Kenny.
Did you also know that I'm Nigerian? Did you know that that's a
Fun fact about Kenny.
But so that was the first bit of my coaching confidence comes from. The second part is being I say it gently, a fairly good player. As I've had a lot of experience playing tackle and flag, European MVP 2015, amongst other things. But point being, it was combining my playing experience with my teaching background that I felt put me in a really good place
Kenny's
to
gonna
coach.
insert his CV right here,
Yeah,
guys.
and listen,
Make
it's available to shout me, hit me up. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. I'm on your
Just
favorite
come
social media
to
outlets.
the Flag Coach Association. We'll get you hooked up.
Well, yeah, no, 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 I'm down. I'm down. Can I be the first one signed up? Can you agree to that here?
Have you signed your contract with Team Spain?
I think that's beside the point. I just wanna know that I can be involved in the coaches association. No, anyway,
¿O qué
no.
pasa?
So, ¿qué pasa?
¿Qué
No.
pasa?
Um, so those two things, but then it was a commitment to the players. It's a commitment to learning myself. So it's visiting with other coaches, sitting down on Zoom call after Zoom call. Hey, talk me through this thing. What did you do? I think a lot of coaches are willing to share their knowledge. The biggest problem, I come across coach after coach that is so confident in their own knowledge, in their own understanding. They're not willing to challenge it. And more importantly, they're not willing to sit in seats of learning under other people. And I think it's what causes so many issues around. You put two head coaches in the same room, and it's like someone feels like they have to come out as an alpha or the one that's the more experienced coach or the one that's the better coach. Why? Like, why can you not just be good coaches in your own right that enjoy the competition of facing each other, but also learning from each other? So, Tim Petry from Germany, youth. Um, I think the first year we played him, he was with the girls U17. This is going back to Italy at 2023, maybe I want to say 2023, 2024. There is a dog on the screen. Oh my gosh. Um,
That's the snorer.
That's it. Well, it's one of the snorers, yeah, the main snorer.
One of them, the main
Um,
Wait, the
culprit,
very, very loud one.
hey,
the
podcast,
one-eyed
podcast,
pirate.
podcast. We're on flag here.
Hi,
Um,
Dookie.
but Tim was really good in terms of, hey, what did you do here? Like this was really good. We struggled to defend this, or you guys did this really well. And we had that conversation free and clear, which is a great example of like how you build and develop um and start to build that coaching network as well, because I think there's a mutual respect there that also exists with a lot of coaches. Um, but that just needs to be developed. And then I think the question is, can it be formalized? Is there a way to, or do we end up in a situation like in the NFL where actually there's a strong string of nepotism running through all of it, and it's just about can I pull in my people and keep bringing my tree and so on and so forth. Like question mark. See, if I ask it as a question, they can't sue me. I know I wasn't saying it, I wasn't making a statement. I don't know. I think it's very interesting.
Need to write a book, Coaching for Dummies.
Well, I'm so glad you brought up for
You see what I did
dummies.
there? See what I did there?
Oh dear.
Let's
What
go,
is
little
that?
Z.
Who is that?
Look at our little girl, all grown up.
Yeah.
All grown up. Z, 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 Z. Her flag coaching for
Just for
dummies
those
book.
for those that are listening, Phoebe's holding up Deanna Flores' Coaching for Dummies book that is out on all your favorite platforms.
It is. We love it. Shout out to our queen, Diana Flores, who's just killing it. So we're super proud helping to grow the game. And we'll be right back after this. Ready for our rant of the week. All right. So this one's really something I feel like all of us experience in life. And it's people who take their shoes off, maybe even their socks off on planes, in the gym. That's probably more of my experience is the people going barefoot or shoeless to go on the stair climber or just anywhere. I mean, you surely have both experienced this. Yaz, what have you been in this situation?
Yes. I mean, so I'm not a massive feet person. Like, I hate feet. They are disgusting. They are gross. They are hot and sweaty or cold and clammy. They always smell. They're never pretty. Don't lie. Even if you get a pedicure, they're still not pretty. It's great that you tried, but
They are better though. After everything's better after a pedicure.
everything life is better after a pedicure. It's nice to just be pampered. But put your shoes on, put your socks on. When you're in your house, wear your slippers. If you want to be barefoot, that's fine. Put your slippers on. Keep your toes warm. Look after your feet. They look after you. They carry you around day after day, and here you are mistreating them. And then mistreating gym equipment. You're going there with your shoes off, and your feet probably smell. But did you wipe down those stairs after you used them on the stair climber? Don't think you did. Now what?
And then wore your socks into your house because you take your shoes off when you're in your house and then you walked around everywhere, put your feet on the couch. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. And now you've got outside foot on inside sofa.
Inside. Mm,
It's so grim. So
mm.
Outside for inside. I think I trump. Well, do I trump both of you? I don't know. On a Avanti West Coast train going from Crewe to London, full holy socks. And no, I don't mean that in a religious sense. Full holy socks, both feet on the table in the middle of a carriage.
do you
Like,
know what?
drop me out. Reading a book, completely lost in the book. Just both feet on the table. On the table.
You're already losing when you said Avanti West Coast. I knew it. Nothing good could come from getting
But
on the Avanti
yeah,
West Coast train,
yeah.
man.
Do you know what it's one of my favorite one though is when you're on the plane and just a waft. No, just a waft comes up from someone who's obviously been it's not easy getting sometimes getting to some planes is you might have whatever you've done whatever, but if you know that your feet are of the aromaful kind, like just maybe loosen your laces at best, but keep them on. We don't need, but it's and then there's a bit of warmth that kind of comes with it sometimes, but it's just like, oh, I'm feeling the smell. I'm not just
No. I mean, and then those people go barefoot into the bathrooms on the plane. That's what kills me.
nah,
People
I'm
who
out.
go
I'm out. I'm
like
out.
with your socks in.
No, no,
Why are
no,
you
no,
not wearing
no,
shoes in the
no,
aisles in these toilets?
no,
Never know.
Sorry. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, no.
But
Also,
that.
He was sorry to interrupt you. He wanted to stop treating inside spaces like they're outside spaces. Like the airplane is not inside. It's still
It
outside.
kind of is. It kind of is inside, no?
No,
You
Inside.
got TV
no,
They
screen, you
don't
got
clean
food,
those
you got,
things.
no. Have you
No
seen how
one.
fast they get people back on and off? Like,
they're just really quick at cleaning it. That's last 9/10
Uh,
of the air. No? Okay. Okay.
no.
That's my
Well,
takeaway from today.
if you've
Yeah,
learned nothing
yeah,
else, outside feet are not for
yeah.
inside. So that is your
And the
rant
plane is still
of the
outside.
week. Hey everyone, so we are doing a quick little get together. Yaz and I thought we need to get this locked in because it's Yaz after work and they have announced the IFAF qualifying process essentially. Yaz, you brought this to the group's attention first off. I just want to hit on kind of the quick statistics about it. But as we knew, 6 men's and women's teams, there is an automatic qualification for the host nation, aka USA men's and women's will get an automatic bid. So they're included in those 6 teams no matter what. Now, the 2 top placed men's and 2 top placed women's teams, obviously not the US, will then be able to secure direct tickets to LA this summer in Dusseldorf. And then in 2027, the Continental Championships continue, and then a 2-step process will determine the remaining 3 men's and 3 women's. So there's a lot of different teams that are trying to fit into this. Again, the Olympic qualifier series, so the top 3 placed men's and women's teams from the tournament will take the final game spots in the spring of 2028. I mean, I have so much thoughts on this. You go first, though, because you were like, guys, can you believe this?
well, I was thinking, and someone mentioned on the comments on the What the Flag post when we posted it, but it means that third place at the World Games has never been so important. Before it was very much third, I've got to work a little bit harder, but now actually it'd be interesting to see how many teams are fighting for that third place spot, especially off the back of Worlds last year. And also to see what teams do with their time. America's also qualified, but what does that mean for them in world competitions going forward? Like in 2027, how are they going to compete? In 2028, early 2028, how are they going to compete? Because really, they've got like a really long bye week, essentially, because they've already made it to where they want to get to. So how does that work in terms of like developing your team and developing the people that you want to sort of be there long term? And I also think when we eventually get round to that sort of like, I think it'll be 10 teams that end up going to the separate qualification event. It'd also just be really interesting to see who ends up there. Because I think if you think about it, we could be in a situation where most of those teams are made up of 2 continents. And then you have to think about on an Olympic stage how much representation other teams having the opportunity to get, and especially if it's for maybe a country that doesn't have much representation over other sports in the games. And then this is yet another sport that's being introduced, and then maybe they're not going to get that representation there either. But what about you? I know you must have thought so much about it when it came out.
Yeah, and to your point, so just kind of hitting on that. So the 10 men's and women's teams, so 2 basically by 5 continents. So all of that will, like, Africa, Americas, Euro, Asia, Oceania will qualify for a last chance tournament, which is the Olympic qualifier series, which is what you're referring to. And I just think it puts so much pressure on, like you're saying, on everyone, because you start thinking, okay, well, US tends to qualify quite high at these tournaments. World's coming up this summer. So I do think you're spot on. I just think it puts a lot of pressure on whoever's going to get within that top 3, which makes it fascinating. I think that you want to be able to have that breathing room. The other thing that, yes, you've got the qualifier technically in 2027, which will lead to the true qualifier in spring 2028. But that means you don't know who is going to the Olympics. So 3 teams essentially will know from this summer, almost 2 years before the Olympics, that they are going to the Olympics. And I feel like that creates almost like also mean opening of funding for these countries as well. I don't know. I'm fascinated to see. And then I'm really interested to see how right now a lot of countries are trying to basically play each other, get experience. If there starts to be the separation of, well, these three countries are definitely doing it, what does that look like? Will other countries want to still help essentially? Or, I mean, and that's, that goes both ways, right? I could look at it like, well, if I'm going to play a team that's going to the Olympics, that will make us better as well. But it is a whole can of worms that, I can't believe that in almost 6 months' time, we will already know three or two other teams that are going to go to the Olympics.
It's also funny you hit on sponsorship, and I think that's a really good point, because obviously for a lot of countries, not all of them, but for a lot of countries, the money athletes make is mostly through endorsement. They don't necessarily get paid for competing in those sports. So, if you're looking at a qualifier being potentially early 2028, that you don't leave very much time for the athletes to get that sponsorship. And the odds are that the way things have been going, it's probably going to be the smaller countries that are going to be the ones that suffer in that respect, because they're the ones that will most likely end up on that sort of side of the qualifier. And then you have to also think as well, when it comes to their team and their Olympic committee sorting things out, obviously they have hits, adverts, promos, all of that stuff. Like, I know for DD Olympics, it's a really huge deal when the kit gets launched, and you see all the teams playing in their kit and training in their kit. I think historically it's been Adidas the last sort of few Olympics, and I would assume that it will most likely be Adidas again. But there's such a build up to that moment, and really you're not leaving a lot of time to begin that campaign if you're potentially looking at qualifying a team that early in an Olympic year.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point, just because I don't know many sports that the spring, which is, essentially what, April, May time, Olympics are in August, that's such a short timeline to be able to think, okay, guys, we have 2 months. And then for those countries, you've had to reserve that amount of time. Like, people are still working, they still have responsibilities. I mean, the list kind of gets stacked on top of each other, but we just had to bring it out to our What the Flag family. We would love to know your opinion on it as well. So make sure, comment, interact. We'll put something in the story because we're fascinated to see what you guys feel about this qualification process. Now, bringing it all around again, we want to talk a little bit and give our flowers to Victoria Chavez, who has won the flag football kind of just most voted. I think there was over 50,000 votes that voted for her to be officially selected as the World Games Athlete of the Year. I mean, out of all the hundreds of sports. So I think it says two things. Obviously, the rise of flag football, but what an amazing community we have. And I saw people from USA Football to literally all across the globe putting out videos to vote and support. And so the community that we talk about so much has come together. I mean, you saw this, Yaz. What were you thinking?
I mean, put it this way, some people don't even turn up for their general election in that many numbers. So that is super impressive that, you've managed to get that many people behind you. And I think as well, there has to be a moment where, as an athlete, you sit down and reflect and realize, like, how amazing your talent must be for that many people to come to a consensus that you were the one who deserves that. What an incredible honor. And I'll be that person to say it, like, it's so nice that it's another woman that's on that pedestal. I'm sorry, look, if it was a guy and it was flag, of course I'd give you the flowers. But I know it's something that we've spoken about so much on this podcast, how women's flag is really a massive trailblazer in terms of, like, promotion of the sport, and you have such amazing ambassadors, and it just adds to the list of real credits that we have in this sport, and it's an absolutely amazing achievement. So
we love it. And last but not least, we have this week, and I know we were talking about the women's, that we have the men's IFAF, kind of like USA football USA versus Mexico coming up this Thursday. So make sure you guys all tune in for that. I mean, NFL is going big on this. Now, this is the carry-on from when the game basically got called off in the Americas Continentals earlier this year because of the weather. So this is the pressure, the temperature around this is rising. So we just want to say good luck to both teams, and we can't wait to be shouting about you. But guys, we're going to try and do more of this week. As things come up, there's going to be there's a lot of events. but we're going to try and hop on this, get you guys some information as soon as we can. And for now, we love y'all. Make sure that you like, subscribe, ring the bell for more What the Flag excitement.